From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Well, now let's discuss macro policing. I don't know. Regular old policing and law enforcement, and what's happening right now in the world of robotics and policing. Ooh, you guys.
Is it
Robocop
good?
is real.
What?
Oh, okay, so it's not good news.
Well, I mean, I rewatched Robocop recently, and it holds up. It's quite a good satire because it's very much, I think it's got a reputation for folks that maybe haven't actually seen it as just being kind of like a brutish kind of, action flick, but it has a lot of subtext to it, and it is about the dangers of automated policing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Dangers on all sides here, guys. Yes, we're going to read something from James C. here. It's very short and succinct, and I love it. But, man, he sent us on a journey. For this segment, guys, I'm going to request that you go to a website called Knightscope.com. KNIGHTSCOPE.com. So you go there. Hey, if you're listening to this on the toilet, a great time to go to Knightscope.com. So once you're there, I'm going to read what James sent us.
That's what we mean by commodification in this episode. I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so, we're there.
So Jim says, I was just wondering if any of you have seen or heard about Knightscope Incorporated. I just saw a commercial about this company promoting its security robots. Is this just a flash-in-the-pan company or something we as a society should be worried about? Well, we'll tell you. So first of all, if you go to Knightscope.com, a pretty slick website, it's looking good. Do you guys see that first image on the screen there?
Little four-wheeler, but where's the seat for the driver, Matt?
There's no seat for the driver because that baby is autonomous. It looks like, I don't know, a cross between the Knight Rider car and something Batman would drive.
Tron?
And a Tron motorcycle, but with four wheels. It looks pretty incredible, and it's a real thing. That's not a CGI rendering. That is a real world, probably a prototype at that time. Maybe not. Maybe that's an actual rollout version of this robot. But it is a robot meant to be a law enforcement officer of one form or another. And Knightscope produces all different kinds of robotic law enforcement things.
Accessories, perhaps?
Hey, look, they may gain sentience at some point, so let's call them like early version Robocops. Teammates. There we go. So if you click on a couple of these different versions, you can see that they've got a model that is called the K1, the K3, the K5, the K7, and then something called a KSOC. And we just want to go over these really quickly just so you have an understanding of what this is and you can explore along with us. The first one, it's called a K1, and I think the K3 is No, it's just the K1. The K1, it's basically a standalone machine that sits in an office or, in an entryway for an office building or something like that. And it's designed to scan people that are moving past it or that walk up to it. And it's really interesting. You can do like security credentials through the thing. You can do coronavirus testing and like temperature checks and all kinds of diagnostics for the humans that walk up to the thing. It has a bunch of cameras and sensors on it that can do all kinds of things. And you can actually, if you go through the website, you can look at all of its capabilities. All of like the facial recognition on it is pretty crazy, apparently. It also has physical deterrence. So this is, I'm going to read this part. It has a highly visible physical presence. That's what the website says. It does eye-level video streaming and recording. and it can provide entry and exit point monitoring. So really a fancy security monitoring system, really.
It's a sentry.
It's a sentry, but it doesn't really do much. It's not like it's got lasers on it or arms that come out and grab you or something.
Yet.
It will take images of you doing something you're not supposed to do.
So it won't light up a boardroom full of executives like the thing in Robocop.
Yes.
At this point, the K1 will not do that. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But if that's
a small comfort.
but if that's what you're looking for, wait, there's more.
Oh, it only gets more sophisticated from there. So the next thing called the K3. This is a, quote, fully autonomous security robot for indoor use. This thing has all kinds of interesting things. It has autonomous detection stuff. It's got, according to them, robust communication, remote monitoring, and it can broadcast messages. So,
And it looks like a Dalek.
It does. It looks like a Dalek.
Which is, for any non-nerds out there, it's sort of like a trash can with like some kind of probe-looking thing sticking out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's somewhere between. It's like if R2-D2 and a Dalek get together for their sci-fi family reunion, then this is a cousin that shows up from like the swankier part of town.
Got it.
Yes. It's only for indoor use. That's important. And, again, it's not doing anything. It doesn't, at least according to their site, and right now it doesn't have any kind of crime stopping, abilities. It's all about monitoring and recording and alerting. That's what it does. Now, if you jump to the K5, and I think it's K5 is the one that has been spotted in a lot of cities around the world, because this thing is in use on the exterior of buildings. It is like a slightly larger version of the K3, the very, very similar build. Looks kind of like a cone. Really, that's the way I would describe it. It's got a bunch of cameras and sensors on it. It rolls around. It gives messages out. It will publicly say things like, make sure the park is clean.
Mm-hmm.
Don't loiter, please. Like
with a strong implication of or else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Yeah. But it has the ability to essentially be a recon drone or a monitoring drone, essentially, for a human security force. And what it does is, again, it just kind of has a patrol, but it has an actual patrol. It's autonomous. It goes around, you set up the patrol, and it does its thing. And what it does is it connects with the law enforcement or security, group inside a building generally using that KSOC. It's the Knightscope Security Operations Center software and sometimes hardware that they provide. So it's just got a direct comm link essentially to that. Usually that is then the communications office or the operations center is connected directly to a local law enforcement agency or something. So it's almost like a home security system at your house. If somebody, tries to break into my home, like right now, if it was occurring, my security alarm would be triggered, which would then go directly to the local police department that's right here. Same deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't always work that way in practice, and we're going to talk about that really quickly in a moment. But I have to tell you about the K7, because this is the thing that we talked about at the very beginning. This is the car-looking Tron mobile thing.
Yeah, bring it.
It's just ridiculously cool looking. There's not as much information on it on the website, which is a little sad. But the thing has 4 wheels. It looks like Tron, as you said, and the wheels all turn separately. So the thing can just rotate itself in a circle. It can strafe, move to the left or to the right. It can go forward or backwards, and it can turn just in these beautiful ways. And apparently it can go pretty fast. They're not saying how fast it can go yet, the maximum speed, but they are saying it's multiple terrain. It can go over a bunch of different places. It seems super dope. And it's also large enough that I think eventually this would be the model or one similar to this could have some kind of actual munitions, whether that's, some kind of non-lethal thing or even eventually lethal stuff at some point in the future.
I do want to point out, no matter what its speed is, the way that it's designed to be more like an automobile, maybe something for urban conflict, but something that could also potentially, you could rig it to navigate off-road terrain. I also thought about the platform thing here. They would have to sacrifice speed for that, but they're still going to be faster than the K5s and below, because the R2-D2s here, their top speed is 3 miles an hour. So they are very slowly doing that autonomous patrol. If they're telling, like, if you are out there stealing whatever people steal, water. If you're out there stealing water, then they will tell you, like, you are being apprehended, your photo is being uploaded, and you can just walk away. You don't have to run.
Or
you can fast walk.
Or give it a swift kick. These things,
Yes.
These things look like they will topple right over, and it's not like they're light. They're pretty heavy, but they're cone shaped, and they've got wheels on the bottom. So, like, if you're good at kicks, you can knock one over pretty easily. I'm assuming. I haven't run a demo. I haven't run any testing with this, which you can run a demo, by the way, if you're a company that is really looking to up your security, or at least go change it in a revolutionary way. You can get a demo. You can request one, and they will bring someone from the team will bring you some of these robots to show you what they can do.
I'm just picturing us in some future protest scenario where they're like, oh no, the robot's here, run. And then Matt jumps out and goes, calm down, everyone. I'm good at kicks.
Front kick.
Yes.
Calm
just
down.
Like a little, and they just topple right over. I mean, those Daleks, man, they were notoriously flimsy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You may not have to kick them. I'm going to read you a story from Gizmodo from 2019, October 2019. Here's the headline. Useless police robot fails to call for help when needed.
Oh, boy.
So it's a story about a woman who observed a fight that was going on in a local area in California. I'm just really quickly running through this. I don't even know exactly where it was in California, but she ran up to the robot like, okay, here's an officer, essentially. Hey, well, there's something going on. We need help. And like hitting a button that essentially is alert the local police. And nothing happened. It didn't do anything. It continued to tell everyone to keep the park clean, and it told her to get out of the way. It's like, please move out of the way. It's like, I'm doing my rounds. Get out of here. So they ended up having to call 911 in order to get a police presence there.
Didn't one attempt what could be anthropomorphized as suicide?
Yes, there's a CNBC article from, I think it's from The Verge as well. I don't know if maybe it is from The Verge originally, by Nat Garon. It was published in 2017, and it says, DC security robot quits job by drowning itself in a fountain.
It's a depressed robot, too.
We've all been there.
Yeah, and you can actually see a tweet from high above there near the offices where if there was a fountain that this thing just went right into, and that was it. But again, these things in their current form are pretty susceptible to physical manipulation if you're into it. But be aware, you will be on camera, your audio will be recorded, you will be seen if you try and mess with one of these things.
Also, facial recognition technology is inherently fraught with problems that people are trying to work on now. But keep in mind that depending upon how you look or how that camera believes that you appear, you may be endangering other people that law enforcement just assumes look like you. This has happened. I hate to say it, but facial recognition still, as we talked a little bit about in our episode on Clearview AI, facial recognition still has some problems that rightly lead many critics to call it racist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right, look, before we get out of here, guys, I'm going to give you some stats. This is coming from Business Insider, January 2020. This is information on Knightscope. At that time, they had about 50 robots that were deployed across the United States, and it costs, well, it depends on the model. They're saying it costs somewhere between $60,000 to $70,000 to lease a single robot for a year term. That's a lot of money. That's like a salary, right? $60,000 to $70,000 was a really good salary for maybe a security officer. I don't know what the running salaries are for a human to be working a job like that, but they're saying that Knightscope has raised over $46 million in funding, at least as of that time last year. And there's all kinds of interesting stuff. Essentially, they're talking about what the future could hold, but there are problems like mall fountains. One of these robots ran over a toddler's, ran into a toddler because of I guess it couldn't see it or something was malfunctioning.
Rode off. Get out of the way, kid. This is like pre-Christmas Day Scrooge as a robot.
Yeah. So I would say Knightscope in general has a lot of growing to do, but they've been doing it since 2013, guys. That company was founded in 2013 as a response to terrible things that happened around that time. I believe it was on their website. They say it was the Sandy Hook shootings and the Boston Marathon bombing. Those were the two events that caused this group of people to decide, hey, well, let's do some kind of autonomous thing where we can take humans out of that immediate danger role of trying to interact with a suspect or someone suspected of committing a crime. I think it could be good in the future, but for me, it's really terrifying. If you're at Knightscope, hit us up. Tell us about the cool things. Hey, maybe run us a demo of that K7. I want to see the K7 in action. If you got one of those, bring it down here to Atlanta or let me know where I can watch it for a while and just check it out.
Careful what you wish for, man.
I mean, basically, is the takeaway here, this is not like, I mean, I know that some of the videos of the Boston Dynamics robots get kind of ragged on because they're sort of dumb looking, but they're also cool looking.
Well, and they're incredibly good at moving.
That's what I'm saying. This is not that. This is like some step down kind of bargain basement version of that kind of tech.
This is not, dude, I'm telling you, it's not bargain basement. It's really sophisticated, interesting
But it's
stuff.
Not as cool as that. It's not as sophisticated as that. That's like the top tier. This is maybe middle tier, let's say.
But if Knightscope and Boston Dynamics had a baby and created a thing that was like one of those little panther creatures that Boston Dynamics is creating and had the capabilities of one of these things that Knightscope is creating, you would have a legitimate, terrifying, and probably crazy effective law enforcement robot.
Something capable of doing a little Fortnite dance after an extrajudicial killing, right?